Hello, everyone. I am your host. It's Jessica Koch, and we are back again with another Profound Professionals. We are an interview series that has been running for almost 8 years now. We have been bringing you industry experts from all over the world. Today, we have two amazing guests. Adrienne is a recovery advocate who connects families impacted by addiction as they heal together. And Cynthia helps ambitious, overextended, this is sounding way too familiar, like I wish you would get out of my head, ambitious, overextended women overcome mid-career restlessness. I don't know if I'm restless, but I'm definitely feeling a little bit over ambitious some days. So welcome both of you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Adrienne, you're in a kind of a tough space. It's a challenging field. You're really kind of caring for people in their most vulnerable states. So tell us how you came into supporting families during this time period.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on, Jessica. It's really a pleasure to be here. This is a love story. I met my husband in church when he was 6 years sober. He announced himself as a recovered alcoholic, past tense. I had no idea what any of that meant. My grandfathers were alcoholics on both my mom and my dad's side. But I didn't know anything about addiction, about the addiction recovery process. I mean, just as green as you could be. I was actually living across the street from a recovery residence and a 3-quarter house, and I had no idea. So the town that I live in, Delray Beach, has 70,000 people in its population, and 20% of that population is in recovery, 15,000 people. So in 2008, my husband came to me. This was before we were married, and he told me he wanted to create this recovery residence community to raise the bar on recovery residences in South Florida. We have a huge population of recovery here and in Southern California because it's nice to recover here. That's the only reason that recovery residences and recovery treatment centers and detoxes ended up in very nice parts of the country. So unfortunately, the entire recovery industry grew up around it. And that meant that there's a lot of people in recovery in both Southern California and Southern Florida.
And that was your beginning of your journey into
that was in 2008. Yeah, that was in our first house was in 2008. We quickly grew. For 7 years, we had 10 houses, one of them being a triplex. So we served 72 souls. That's 72 people that somebody sent to us that they wanted to get better. We just continued to build our reputation within the community. And now we have scaled down to 3 houses with 15 men and a virtual program that is a year-long recovery program that includes both the individual and the family and all of their ancillary people that work with them, psychiatrists, psychologists, case managers, sober coaches. We work with everybody to be on the same page to get you to that year of recovery. Because if you can get to a year sober, you have an 80% chance of staying in recovery long term. If you don't make it to that first year, your chances drop to less than 15%.
Right. Right. And so do people come pretty much on their own, or are families reaching out to you for help? I'd imagine it really only takes root if it is the person who is going through its choice, right? They have to be
correct
in the frame of mind that it's time now to make a change.
Yeah, and not everybody who comes to our front door is in that state of mind. That's why they need to stay put for some time first, because everybody thinks that they're ready to go on. And the statistics are 80% of the people that leave treatment and graduate treatment go back home, and they will fail. Only 20% come to a recovery residence like ours. So the key marker is getting to that year mark.
So this is step 2.
They get to us from treatment. Treatment.
I see.
Right, from bed to bed from treatment.
What's a tip that you can give families and people who love others who are struggling through this and they don't really know what to do or how to help, or how to encourage them to take the next step or how to process this? Is there a tip you could give?
Yeah, I give the same ABCs of recovery for both parents and individuals. The A is accept your situation and take action. If you're a loved one, that means educate yourself on addiction. Know
Hmm.
what the warning signs are.
Hmm.
You know best your loved one. We don't know your loved one best, so you know how to talk to them in a way that will make sense. And maybe it's a friend that proposes that they get some help.
Hmm.
There are doctors that you can go to. They know a lot about treatment.
Hmm.
It really also would benefit them to get in a group of other people who are struggling with loved ones in addiction,
Hmm.
because it's very lonely.
Yeah.
It's not like you can say to your mani petty girl, my son's smoking crack again. What do you think I should do?
Yeah.
It's very, very lonely. And
Yeah.
we're talking about high performers here. We're not talking
Hmm.
about the typical
All
person that
kinds.
someone
Yeah.
normally thinks that's court
Hmm.
ordered to our house, or their parents forced them there.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of these guys were C-suite executives or CEOs, and before COVID, they went out with the guys for a couple of nights for beers. Afterwards, they had alcohol delivered to their house every day.
Hmm.
And when COVID ended and the lockdown ended and we started getting back to work, many, many, many people went back to work, fine and perfectly okay. But
Hmm.
20% of the population didn't.
Hmm.
And we owe it to those percentage of the population that got caught up in addiction accidentally to help them.
Well, and I love your tip is if you do know someone or you love someone that's struggling with this, get in a group yourself, lovingly be as supportive as you can be, encourage them to get help when they're ready, but get help for yourself so that you know how to take the steps in the actions that you're in control of, right? Because we can't be responsible for someone else's choices. But that's good advice, is to get help for yourself if you're really struggling with what to do next for someone you love. Like I said.
Yeah, it goes back to that old adage, but it's kind of overused. But put your oxygen mask on yourself first. You
Yeah.
cannot fill from an
Hmm.
empty cup.
Mhm.
Well, and I think
And
that's.
chances are you're hungry, you're lonely, you're angry, you're tired.
Yeah.
You've been dealing with a lot.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think also feeling sad and helpless. So having someone to talk to is a really good, because you don't always know how to help someone, and it makes you feel helpless when someone you love is suffering, and it really is up to them to take the next step, and all you can do is stand by and watch. So that can be a challenging space to be in. Thank you for what you do, Adrienne, and that's a great segue to Cynthia, because Cynthia is helping those of us who just keep saying yes to everything, uh,
Right.
and putting so much on our plates. And then we wonder what to do next. How did you get into this kind of space, Cynthia, of helping people who are overextending themselves?
Yeah. Jessica, it's interesting because Adrienne, you mentioned the putting on your mask first, and we actually use that same metaphor.
Hmm.
Um, because women in general are often told to put your head down, work hard, and good things will happen.
Hmm.
And we dutifully follow those instructions, partly because we're so busy pouring into everyone else.
Hmm.
Whether you have children of your own or you don't, we find someone to nurture, we find someone to care for, someone to love up on. And so we tend, and it's never a finger wagging against men, because the majority of women do it because they want to, not because they have to. So they want to have, in the case of the people that we mostly work with, they want to have a professional career and be a great mom or spouse or significant other or what have you. And so I think for me, it was really, the advice was your best poised to serve the person you once were. And when I look back at my 35-year professional career, raising two children and trying to do it all and be it all, it was hard. You feel guilty when you're at work. and you feel guilty when you're at home. And so it was, how do we empower women to invest in themselves and be unapologetic and guilt-free about that? How do we make sure that we're pouring into our own vessel so that we can be the best version of ourselves, at work and at home and at all aspects of our life? And so for me, it was really a moment of my own career restlessness, which I had happened upon from time to time, and thinking, gosh, I really need to live into all of this great advice and these lessons I've learned over the last 3 decades, and
Mhm.
maybe help other women get out ahead of that so that they're not in reflection about it, but they're really putting boundaries in motion and intentional investment in motion.
Yeah, I hear it. No guilt for
Mhm.
unmatched socks. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
That's right.
I have 7 children and 8 grandchildren, and I'm just gonna tell you that's a lot of feet and there's a lot of socks in
That's
my
right.
life cycle of being a mom and being all the things. And you know what? As long as they were clean, there was no guilt if my kids went out in unmatched socks.
I love that. That is such a great example. Such a good example. I'm gonna use that one.
Yeah, you go right
And you
ahead.
know what? Like nothing's what's gonna happen? What's the
Right,
Right.
worst that's gonna happen if your kid
exactly.
goes out in unmatched socks?
They're
That's right.
clean and they're warm. Their toes are warm and their socks are clean. These are the
That's exactly
important
right.
things. So, uh, yeah. Um, so what kind of people are coming to you?
Yeah.
Are you working with the C-suite? Are you working with entrepreneur women? What kind of women are seeking you out and saying, "Ah, I need this Cynthia in my life"?
So it's a couple. I mean, it's really the broad range.
Mhm,
We spend most of our time with that vice president and above, those women that have reached a certain level of success. They still want to expand and really realize all of their potential. You know, our research, we did qualitative and quantitative research, and our qualitative research, over 30 women. They spanned 5 race ethnicities, 4 countries, 25-year age span, and had a collective 900 years of experience. And what we learned across this incredibly diverse population, some with kids, some without kids, some with small companies, some entrepreneurs, really the gamut, is number one, at some point during mid career, they began to feel restless
mhm,
or stuck or stagnant, or pick a word. And think about, when we think about mid-career, we don't mean midlife. It's not an age, and we
mhm,
don't mean mid-level, so it's not a position. It's from about 28 years old till about 60 plus years old and growing,
mhm,
as women are working longer. It's a
mhm,
really long time that's complex, with 7 children and seven, right?
mhm,
um, it's a complex time because we're balancing so many things. And what we discovered is intentionality was the component, because the cause was, I don't feel fully actualized. I don't feel like I feel like I have more value to give, more talent to add, etc.
mhm,
So really, I think the appeal is for women at all stages of
mhm,
career during that long 3+ decade. We predominantly do a lot of keynote speaking and a lot of leadership development and so on for all levels of women, in all industries. From an
mhm.
executive coaching perspective, it tends to be that VP, again, that VP and above level that just want more.
That's what I was wondering. So is it something you're doing where you go and do training and a workshop for an entire corporate team, or are you doing a lot of one-on-one? Are you doing, is it group sessions, virtual? Adrienne shared with us a little bit about her actual locations and then how they have this great online
Right.
community that's supporting in so many ways. How are you serving your audience and your community?
Yeah. Jessica, thank you for asking that. So, really 3 sort of channels. We work with associations, and that's typically doing keynoting at large
Mhm,
association, women's conferences, things like that. So we can get a lot of messaging out in a pretty quick way. We work with organizations and do educational content.
Mhm.
And then on the individual level, that's really two ways we do executive coaching. I do one-on-one executive coaching,
Mhm.
which is a much more immersive process. And we're really journeying together over 6, 9, or 12 months. And I also do masterminds where I have
Mhm.
very high level um, or similarly positioned women. What's really important in a mastermind, as I'm sure you know, is that we can kind of all contribute at an
Mhm.
equal place based on shared life experience. But you
Mhm.
get about 6 or 8 individuals in these masterminds, and we journey through educational content, but there's also a lot of peer coaching and feedback. So my
Those are
sweet spot is executive coaching and group coaching.
mhm.
Those doors often get opened through the public speaking and the corporate education.
Sure. What's a tip that you could give some of the women who are really seeking to reach their full potential but feeling a bit overextended?
Yeah. So the through line for me is start intentionally working on your future today.
Mhm.
And what that means is the start part means that we've got to create boundaries, we have to learn to ask for help, we have to create space, even if it's only 7 minutes a day. A little more than 5, not as much as 10, but if I can take 7 minutes a day that I'm going to be intentional, guilt-free, unapologetic to invest in myself.
Mhm.
Um, and it start today. So even if you've got your dream job or the thing that you love the most, what
Mhm.
is your next? And
Mhm.
start making progress towards your next because life's messy and we don't know sometime when something will be disruptive. And if we've not already been intentionally moving toward our next, it can really set you back.
Yeah. So really think about that future. And I think Adrienne, your group probably really has to focus on the future that they want, the now that they want, and the future self they really are working towards being as they go through their transformative journey as well, right?
Yeah, and that really is a process. You know,
Mhm.
nobody comes to our recovery residences wanting to be there.
Right.
As I mentioned, only 20% of the people that graduate come to a facility like ours. They're
Mhm.
gonna get more secure in their recovery if they do,
Mhm.
but they don't come beating the door down wanting to be there. As the
Sure.
process continues, they start doing esteemable things
Mhm.
again because you might not, I mean, you know a lot about being a doctor, you know a lot about being a sports professional, you know a lot about being a politician, but you don't know anything about staying sober.
Mhm.
And if
Mhm.
you can't get your life together, it's hard to um continue on that professional track
Sure.
when your life is falling apart. And so I think it's a progression, but I
Mhm.
think that slowly but surely people can start to get better and start to heal.
And I think that's a great segue into, and all of you out there watching, we're so grateful that you're watching. We hope you're getting something really wonderful about out of this. And now is the time, because you've been following us for so long, that we're going to share the causes that are close to the hearts of our guests today. So that means get ready, hit that share button. You just might inspire someone to share time, treasure, or talent with those watching. And when you hit that share button, you could be someone's hero. You just don't even know. Put in the comments the causes that you care about because we want to hear from you also. So, Adrienne, that was a great segue for us to talk about the cause that's close to your heart.
The cause that's close to my heart is something that really threw me for a loop because I did not think that this is what I was going to be doing with my life. But I am absolutely called to end addiction in this world.
Mm.
We have fentanyl coming over the border and everybody knows that, but not a lot of people know what to do when it hits their front door.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get my passion project is to get a number like 911 or 411 or 211 for an addiction clearinghouse so that because this is happening so much now,
Mm-hmm.
parents are terrified and have no idea where to turn. So I am passionate about getting this knowledge into every parent's hands.
Well, I love that. And having everyone be able to live a good life and live the best, healthiest version of themselves is a great cause to have. And thank you for sharing that, Cynthia. How about you? How about a cause that's close to your heart?
Yeah, so it's kind of dual focused, but related to the same. So I care a lot about gender pay equity. I think that we've continued to lag, which
Mhm.
is disappointing. It's never about a finger waving at our wonderful male counterparts. It's really a matter of helping more women um, be recognized for the work that they do and the value that they add. I also do a lot of work with women's groups that help women who are going through transition. Perhaps they have been in jail or incarcerated, and to get back into the working world, to get them dressed, ready for interviews, and prepared to put their lives back in order,
Mhm.
and be able to, take care of themselves and oftentimes the family that has been left behind in the
Hmm.
process. So women are my focus, and helping them thrive and just live into their fullest potential is my passion.
No, that is, I love all of that. Thank you for that. And so now, everyone watching, get ready to put your favorite books. And if you're an author, you put books you've authored all in the comments and hit the share button so we can spread the word together. Adrienne, can you share with us a book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business?
Yes, I certainly can. It's a book. It's older, so you have to get it on Amazon. It's called "You Had It All the Time,"
Mm,
and the whole book is basically about all the time that you're wasting because everything that you need to succeed, you already have within you.
mhm. We sure do. I love
And
that.
it's a great reminder. It had exercises there. It was a personal development book. It was like, okay, we like where you are, but we don't want you to stay there, kind of thing.
And I know you're an author, but I'm going to come right back to you because before we talk about both of the books the beautiful ladies here have authored themselves, I want to get from Cynthia a book from you that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business.
Yeah, so it's recent. I have it with me. It's The Think Again by Adam Grant.
Hmm.
What I love about this book is it really challenges the way we naturally come to decision making and thinking. And like a lot of things, we tend to have a pretty individual style. Um,
Mm,
and I think that can really alter and stifle creativity
mhm,
and how you think about problem solving, how you think about and now that I have my own business, I have to think about how do I help solve problems for others.
mhm,
And so being able to really challenge and think differently. Am I preaching? Am I because I want them to see it my way? Am I trying to convince them of something because I'm trying to sell them? Am I, there's all of these different ways we sort of approach
mhm,
influencing others, and being able to really challenge that and make certain that I'm listening through a completely objective, open mindset, I think
mhm.
not only helps me in my personal life, but certainly in my business life.
I love that. That's a great suggestion. It's not one I've
Hmm.
heard, so I'm super excited about that. Adrienne, I know you're an author, so share with us book or books that you have been a part of or written.
So my one and only is an international bestseller. It's called Grits, Guts, and Courage. It
Love
Ah,
was
it.
compiled by Kelly Fallardo.
mm,
And my chapter is the second chapter. It's called From Wheelchair to Warrior. It
mm,
has nothing to do with addiction because my story is not about addiction. It's about being born with a congenital illness that, combined with a softball fall, put me in the hospital for the next 30 years.
wow.
And I've only been out for 4.5. So 4.5 years ago, I was 74 pounds in a wheelchair.
Oh
Wow.
my word.
And I spent 30 years of my life mostly in, sometimes out of the hospital. I've only been out for 4.5 years and doing the best to try to pretend to be a healthy woman. It's an eye-opening experience. I'm like, every day is new. I'm learning new stuff. I'm not trying to make up for lost time, but I spent a lot of nights in a bed, lonely.
Mm.
So I'm now ready to hit the world.
Well, that is a great story, and I hope everyone grabs it. We'll make sure that it's in the article about Adrienne and attached to the different places that you'll find these videos, whether you're watching us now live streaming or you find us on our website and other places. We will make sure we have all the contact information for both of these beautiful ladies. So make sure you look there. Cynthia, you're also an author. Talk to us about your book or books.
I am. So now near next, a
Mm,
practical guide to move mid-career women from professional serendipity to intentional advancement. It's a USA Today national bestseller. Just
wow,
came out this March, 2024, March 19th. So we are just a couple of months.
congratulations.
Thank you. A couple of months post publication, and it's really all about the things that we've been talking about today.
Mhm.
It's very actionable. So it really is a practical guide, step by step, of where do I begin? How do I set boundaries? How do I identify my next? And how do I put a plan in place to get there?
I love that. Yeah, having a plan is so key. We can do so much more and so much faster when we stop and evaluate and map that out and figure out what the plan is where versus just trying to get everything done on the checklist and frantically putting fires out and running about as we do sometimes
Right.
in circles.
That's right.
So yeah, so that's wonderful. I love that you have that. All right. So if you're watching and you're an author, put that in the comments. If you're watching and you want to share a book with us, we would love to see that. And now, if you're watching and you're thinking, wait, I'm an industry expert, I could help people with their personal life or their growth of their business, I should be on this show. Well, reach out to our team. We'd love to feature you and be someone else's hero because if you're an industry expert, I bet you know one. So introduce us to someone so we can get them on the show. All right, now, ladies, before we say goodbye, Adrienne, two things. Anything else about yourself or your personal life or your business that you didn't get to share? And then a final thought for everyone. So, two things. Anything you felt like you didn't get an opportunity to share about you or your business? And a final kind of piece of information or inspiration to leave the audience with as we close out today.
Sure. So, about our business, I will say we are really proud of the virtual recovery program that we have put together for people to be able to recover in the privacy of their own homes. We
Mm,
can help people who have been in trouble at work from being caught with drugs, sent to a treatment program, and now are kind of on their own to figure it out. We
mm,
help those folks get through because it costs quite a bit to replace a C-suite executive or a CEO, and
mhm,
it's really more beneficial for the company, for the individual, and for the family for them to work it out
mhm,
and get that person better and back to work.
mhm,
And a last thing that I would say, a comment that I would have is what I usually close out with. Where there is breath, there is hope.
mhm,
Please don't give up.
You know, it's
Don't
funny.
you give up.
All my kids, I've been telling them that forever. I've been telling them no matter how bad you think the situation is, no matter how alone you might think you are. First of all, I tell them they can tell us anything, your parents, but I also tell them as long as there's life, there's hope. There
Mhm.
isn't anything we couldn't figure out together, no matter how bad it is.
That's right.
We can
So
do it together. That's
that's
right.
right. We can
I
figure it
love
out
that.
together. It may seem impossible, but it's not. So as long as this, like you said, as long as there's breath, there's hope. I always say, as long as there's life, there's hope. So as long as we're all still breathing and on this side of the dirt, then we're good. We can figure this out together. So I love that final
Yeah.
thought. Cynthia, how about you? Anything about yourself or your business that you didn't get to cover? And then share with us a closing thought as we say goodbye to everyone watching out there today.
Yeah. So our business, which I'm sure will be in the show notes, is Zeal of the Heel, heel like a high heel, HEEL.
Oh, I
So
love that.
zealoftheheel.com.
Mhm.
If there's someone interested in education for their organization or association, or would love to work with individuals one-on-one or in our masterminds, I think, it's so important that we just realize that we create empowerment and self agency if we start working on our futures today. And my closing thought would be, one of my very favorite quotes is by Martin Luther King Jr. And I think it sums up sort of the essence of what I believe so deeply in, which is, if you can't fly, then run. And if you can't
Mm,
run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward.
mhm. Keep moving forward. That is a great way to end today. Thank you, beautiful ladies, both for being here with me. I hope you've enjoyed being on the show as much as I've loved having you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And Adrienne, you're such an inspiration. It's lovely to meet you as well.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I just wish you all the success in the world. You
Likewise.
have a great mission yourself.
Thank you.
We need to stick together.
That's right.
Absolutely. You're not in this alone. That's been kind of the message for everyone. So if you're feeling overextended or if you're feeling like you need support with things going on in your world, you're not doing this alone. So I am going to close us out today. I am Jessica Koch, your host. This is Profound Professionals, the interview series that brings industry experts from all over the world to you to help improve your personal life and grow your business. And until next time, be kind to yourself out there and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody.